What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And of course, I am always and forever your humble host, Niko House. And I have a very special guest returning to the show today, Fiorella, aka Savage Fee, aka for some reason y'all always in her mentions and she ain't never really worried about you, but you still mentioning her anyway. Fiorella Isabel, 1/3 of the Convo Couch, has joined the show, doing what she does, bringing us some groundbreaking information regarding T-Mobile's coercion into trying to get their employees to get poked. Fee, first of all, what's going on? How you been?
Hey fam, I haven't seen you in a while. Nice seeing you. I'm good. Busy as hell, going all over the place. Yeah, man, there's so much shit going on.
Man, so before we get into that really quickly, because I know like you really have had like a crazy busy, really I guess like the last 3 months, but definitely last month.
Yeah.
You just got back from Nicaragua, correct?
Well, I got back technically from New York. I was in Nicaragua. Where are we?
It
I
was,
was in Nicaragua in January.
yeah.
And we didn't go to Honduras. We needed that break, and then I went to New York to interview some people on mandates and about the success slash failure failure of AOC. And I'm working on those projects simultaneously while still doing the show. And I just published this article on Saturday. And I'm also trying not to lose my mind with all these crazy people just like losing their mind. So
Yeah,
I
yeah. It's hard staying sane and like when you're like trying to be like sane and then everyone else around you is going insane and then calling you the crazy ones. You're like, hold up, like am I actually crazy or no? Nope, nope, nope. It's just that the crazy ones are the loudest, is what it seems like. But in Nicaragua, you were at the inauguration, correct?
hmm Yeah,
How was
the
that?
inauguration. It was amazing because I have become extremely anti-government in living in the United States, right? Like living in the United States, it's like the government is not my friend. The government is the surveillance state. It's this whole apparatus of technocratic oligarchs coming after us, and of course, including 1% billionaire class and pharmaceuticals. But then you go to Nicaragua and you see people who really love their government, right? And that's something alien to me.
Mm-hmm.
That people feel backed by their government, and I thought that was really cool. And it's like the government doesn't have to be a bad thing, and they understand certain forms of decentralization in government, which I think is pretty freaking awesome. And yeah, it was just one of the things I admired about Nicaragua was the fact that they were anti-lockdown and they never shut down the economy because they're being sanctioned, and it would ruin their economy,
Yeah, they
right?
understand the
And so they're
moment.
very self-sufficient. Yeah. A lot of people, which is weird, a lot of anti-imperialists on the left are advocating for mandates, or advocating for lockdowns, or very, very pro vaccine, no questioning of anything. And so it's just kind of like
Well, I mean, we should call it what
they
it is,
use
right? They're
this.
not even pro-vax. They're pro-big pharma. Like, at this point, I feel like it's inextricably linked because of these same people who criticize big pharma and what they produce and the reasons that they produce it for so long. All of a sudden, because of this, I don't, some moral superiority complex that they might
Yeah.
have, like they think, well,
Yeah.
this is the exception. And I don't
Right.
really like getting into the pro or anti of the vaccine itself, because what you're really doing is you're just showing that you're actually pro big pharma, but you're only anti big pharma when it was the morally superior, at least in the eyes of society, the morally superior position, which is like, no, it's you're anti big pharma, you're anti big pharma. I'm not saying don't take your medication, obviously, but like even with that, people know they have to be careful. They also should know that there are usually
Yeah.
alternatives, and that's something that we understand that is necessary to pursue because we understand the corruption of big pharma. The same people
Yeah.
who told me weed would kill me and turn me slow. That's what I was told. So that's big pharma money. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, 100%. And it's more than that too. It's this elitist sort of colonial mindset that people of color and poor people don't know any better, and this is why they don't want the vaccine. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that whole reason as well.
Well, that's a great segue into this groundbreaking work that you put together and have been doing some. For those of you who may not know, by the way, Fiorella is an investigative journalist who is literally always and forever doing investigative journalism. And the reason I had to say that, and I always say that, y'all probably tired of hearing it from me by now, but the Convo Couch is probably, if not the best investigative team ever assembled in media history. I mean, that might be hyperbolic or it might not be, because once again, she's done some great work and exposed the fact that T-Mobile has been trying to coerce its employees into getting jabbed. Now, I'm sure this is not a story that is unique to T-Mobile, but this is a story that Fiorella was able to hone in on. And can you let us know a little bit about what's... I have your tweet up, by the way. It says, breaking leaked documents reveal T-Mobile's attempt to coerce, manipulate...
Hey, Niko?
Yeah.
They're saying they can't hear my mic.
Oh, so yeah, I fixed it.
You fixed it?
Yeah, I fixed it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
I'm like, I haven't had an issue, so...
Yeah, you're good. Appreciate it, though. Thank you, guys. But so the tweet says, breaking leaked documents reveal T-Mobile's attempt to coerce, manipulate, and silence workers who refuse vaccine mandates. There is also an attempt to force employees to dismiss HIPAA rights in order to apply for an exemption. We'll continue the thread here. So this might be a little bit too... She has... Go to her tweet, by the way. It's pinned to her top of her Twitter. She has her Substack up right there, as you can go. So go check out that Substack as well. But go ahead and let us know what's going on here, because I know that this wording might be a little bit too small for people to read.
Yeah, okay. So basically what happened was I had been... somebody that watches the show and knows about me messaged me saying that they worked at T-Mobile and that this was happening, that they were being forced to have these mandatory vaccinations, that the company was treating them unfairly, that they were not listening to any of their concerns, and if I could cover it. And so I thought it was initially just going to be okay, like just this tweet situation. I can tweet it out for you, which is what I did back in, I think it was the 28th or 29th of January. I tweeted like a thread with some documents that they had sent me, frequently asked questions. And then what happened was that people saw that and they started messaging me and emailing me and saying like, hey, I work for T-Mobile. Let's talk. Like, this is what's happening. What you wrote there is true, and they're doing this. And they wanted me to hear their story, and they wanted to tell their story, because these are working people. When a lot of the people who are on the left talk about, vaccine mandates, they think they justify them because they're saying, well, it's protecting workers and these people aren't going to get sick, which is, based on a lot of false bullshit. But they say that, and they're like, this isn't the trucker convoy that's happening, isn't a working class movement and all of this stuff. But when you look at the people who are anti-mandate and who these mandates are affecting, it is a genuine working class. And I definitely want to highlight some of these people because they matter and their stories matter.
It is primarily the working class.
At the working class.
Yeah. It's frustrating because this issue. So when we talk about the damage that mandates specifically do to working class people of color and black people, single mothers, the most vulnerable of our society, really, everybody ignored us. Everybody. Stop making this. Instead, they try to say this is a what do they call it? Vaccine genocide, whatever. Like, oh, why aren't you getting the jabs to people? Well, why are you forcing people to make decisions about their body and violate their autonomy of their body, or threatening them with their jobs or their livelihoods or their ability to see their family and friends? Like, unfortunately, the reality is a lot of people of color and black people, they ain't got the time nor the money or the time to go and do these massive movements. So a lot of the time, sometimes they just look like a bunch of white guys who got a little bit more time on their hands because they've been able to benefit from some of the advantages they have in life, okay? But when there finally is a movement of something like what we see with this trucker or this freedom convoy, if you will, where I could give listen, I need to be very clear about something. I'm sure Fiorella agrees with me to some degree on this. If I am one of those truckers, and I am a black trucker, and I go right there, and this dude might be racist. Maybe I heard it through the grapevine on the radio. This dude might be racist. Well, hey, bro, you might be racist, but we both had the same job. And if you want to come protest today so we can protect these jobs, we can go back to hating each other tomorrow, that's fine. And that's how you build movements that are based on worker rights and class and labor. Like, that is what is necessary. Nobody cares about your petty gripes. Somebody might not like you because you're black. Somebody might not like you because you're a woman. Somebody might not like you because you live in California. Somebody might not like you because you're from Alabama. That's the way of the world. But when it's time to put that shit to the side, you need to put it to the side and act like an adult, because there's people in your workplace that you don't like, that you have to work with every day. Maybe not us, because we're cool. We have our own spot. Like, we work really hard for this, but it's cool. But before we all had somebody we had to work with that we don't like, and it's called being a mature adult to get things done. So yeah, but and it's all of a sudden they make it racism. It's racism now. Oh, they're racist. They're white supremacists. Somehow a Confederate flag was being flown in Canada, where, like, what? That has nothing to do with Canadian history whatsoever. But let's ignore that, I guess. But, like, it's almost like every time that someone stands up to the government, you're either a right wing or a Nazi, right? If you're a leftist, or you're a white supremacist. And it's ironic because the United States, and I would say that Canada, that just gave $120 million to Nazis in West Ukraine, not being exempt from this. But the United States has the FBI and the CIA, which might be the largest and most well-funded white supremacy groups in the goddamn world. So yeah, go ahead, Fiorella. Sorry.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And it's ridiculous. And stories like this are so important for that reason. And none of these people that are dissing the convoy or talking about us, calling us Nazis or white supremacists, which just happens every day, which is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. None of these people are paying attention to that or giving a rebuttal to that. So let me just state a couple of facts. So if the T-Mobile workers aren't vaccinated fully, like double vax, by April 2nd, they're going to lose their job. They have until, I think, what's the date today? Oh, today's Valentine's Day. So today is February 14th.
We married to the movement. What's the day today?
I am. Yeah. So I think by February 21st, so in a few days, they have to have at least proof of their first dosage. If they don't have that, then they're going to go on unpaid leave until they do. And so that's just an automatic thing. Now, there is an exception to this. The people that you see at the T-Mobile stores, when you go get a new phone and all, those people do not have to be vaccinated.
Okay, what?
The people that have to be vaccinated are the people that work in corporate offices, or people who have a higher up position, certain managers, and some of them who even work remotely from home. It doesn't make any sense, Niko. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And in the article, I addressed potential reasons as to why they're doing that. One of the reasons, the most reasons that people were talking about, was that they have to have an ability to hire these people at will, because the turnover rate is higher, and that the most important thing to note about this whole thing is that T-Mobile is using vaccine mandates as an excuse to fire people, because they were going to fire people anyway. Wow. But it looks better for the company to fire people under a vaccine mandate, as if like, oh, we're trying to protect our workers. But they had a merger with Sprint, if you guys recall.
Yeah, I remember.
And so that is part of the reason why they're gonna get rid of people, and they were gonna get rid of people anyway. But now it's like, oh, we're just gonna get rid of these people because they won't comply. So the vaccine mandates have no scientific course, and in there I include a table of the data that proves that 90% of the infections last year came from the retail employees who don't have to be vaccinated, and so it just, there's no like data supporting a good reason for this mandate. And so they started, these people started talking to me about how it's been awful, and people have felt ostracized by their own coworkers, by their own managers. The one person that first leaked this story to me, she got her first vaccine because she felt coerced, but she doesn't want to get the second one. And now the website they're using to upload their vaccination card is asking people if they've been boosted or not. So that's the other thing. They're starting to ask, like, oh, do you have the booster? And I know we started to see, like, oh, if you go to a bar, if you're double vaccinated, you can sit inside, but if you're boosted, you can sit at the bar. So it's this kind of like hierarchical structure that we're creating based on
Literally nothing
like
at this point.
pseudoscience. I mean, it's
I feel like calling it even
misinformation.
pseudoscience is as too charitable
Yeah.
at this point. It's like it's no science involved here. I mean, like we were just talking before we came live. Everybody here for the most part watched Super Bowl, and let me just say, although I'm not a fan of LA as a city, nor am I a fan of California, I'm a big fan of Matt Stafford. So really happy Matt Stafford won, with a little bit of help from the refs, a little bit at the end. But they were cheating. They was holding Cooper Kupp, and they shouldn't have got a touchdown to begin with. But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna talk about that. But my point is, I've been watching Stafford actually for the most part every single weekend this year, which means I was watching a lot of Rams, LA Rams, Los Angeles Rams home games. Okay, now they were playing in Los Angeles last night. I don't know if y'all noticed that. And guess what y'all did not see a lot of? You didn't see, well, no, damn that. You didn't see any masks in the building, did you? In Los Angeles, California, where the Lakers, prior to that, were required to be vaccinated, specifically because they were in LA. And this wasn't even a mandate applied to all of California, just San Francisco and LA. The Rams team was required to be vaccinated to play in that stadium. Everyone who had entered that stadium that year prior to that game had to be vaccinated and wore a mask. But for the Super Bowl, you didn't have to wear a mask, and all you had to do was provide proof of a vaccination card or a negative COVID test, because it's all about money. And they are now, so you have, in this particular situation, they looked the other way because they wanted that money that a Super Bowl brings in. And there's a lot of millionaires and billionaires that was not about to come if you told them they had to be jabbed. Okay. So now you have the reverse situation happening where they're like, well, hold on. You said we got to downsize. Well, so let's just say we call it health and safety protocol. Okay, and we have to remove these, for the benefit, the public health benefit of the T-Mobile company. That sounds a little bit better, right? Well, let's go ahead and do that. So now you see both sides of, now this is it's money. It's always been about money. That's it. And this is just another example of that.
And people's lives might be ruined. One particular person that stood out to me in the article was a person who is undergoing cancer treatment, particularly chemotherapy. And this person has to travel 4 hours to get the chemotherapy because the hospital near their location isn't that great. So in order to get the best treatment for their cancer, they have to travel. And this person makes, like, last year made like $47,000 a year. One shot of their chemotherapy is nearly $30,000. And so
disgusting.
if they were to lose their job over this, because they're applying for a medical exemption, and the reason they don't want to get vaccinated is because we don't know, and they said this, I don't know, the doctor and I don't know what the vaccine is going to, how the vaccine is going to react with the treatment we're doing, which is a valid concern.
That is the most common sense breakdown. Like, you're not even supposed to take two different, like, over-the-counter medicines together before you figure out what they will do when they are put together. Like, it's common sense shit, bro.
And their own doctor is saying, hey, like, apply for this. You shouldn't take the vaccine. Like, this is crazy. And so they're applying for the medical exemption. And if they lose their job, whether from the company finding out who they are, or whether from the company just denying them the exemption, they could lose their life if they get the vaccine. Or if they don't get the vaccine, they lose their health insurance, which then makes it impossible to pay $30,000.
So they lose their life
per
anyway.
Treatment of what? So what do you choose? And so that person later sent me the forms, the HIPAA forms that were sent to them. Well, the forms to apply for medical exemption. In that form to apply for the medical exemption is a clause that says that they must give their consent to a third party called Broadspire. And this third party company has their own doctor, and that own doctor must verify the person's the employee's own doctor. So the doctors have to talk, the third party doctor and your own personal doctor have to have a conversation, and they have to get all the information, not even a conversation, but they have to be sent all your medical information and people aren't comfortable with a third party entity having access to their medical information. And not only that, they not only have access to their medical information, they also have to waive their HIPAA rights, because in doing that, they say that that's the only way that they can apply for this medical exemption. And if they don't allow this third party doctor, that's the company's own third party doctor, then they're only going to look at the person and what they have asked. They're not going to look at the medical information of the person's doctor. So they're going to completely push aside what the person's actual doctor says if they aren't letting the third party entity into their medical.
So in other words, hey, you got to go to the doctor that we're paying to say what we want them to say, or we're not gonna, or we're gonna deny it anyway. So it's like,
well, we don't know anything about the, you don't know anything about the third party entity. Like, it's a third party, like, you don't know, and it's provided by the company, so you can make your own assumptions on that.
Yeah, I mean, they're contracted together. So like, if they're partnered with the company is paying them, the same company that is firing people. Like, this is like I guess this is like really hard to kind of take in, because basically they're telling this person that your choices are potentially lose your life, absolutely lose your life, or prolong for a shorter period, for like extending for a few weeks or a couple of months, the loss of your own life. And they then put the choices in front of her to select. Which way do you want to lose your life? That's basically what they are saying. That is beyond, like, that is insane to me. And that oh my God, that's horrible. I don't even know what to say.
It's actually, if you scroll down on the Substack, there's a form that's like, it says T-Mobile, and it says authorization to release healthcare information. And I'll go ahead and read it while you look for it.
Got you.
And it says, I hereby authorize blank to complete this form and disclose to T-Mobile Human Resources Division and its authorized representatives in writing or orally the following types of information: impairments, treatment plans, my ability to perform work, recommendations, history, reports and correspondence, relevant information to sexually transmitted diseases. I mean, everything, which is weird to me that they want this on a third party site. Okay. And then it says, once my health information is disclosed pursuant to this authorization, it will become part of my T-Mobile employment record, maintained separately from my other personal records, and will no longer be subject to protections under federal and state patient health information and privacy laws, HIPAA. The T-Mobile Human Resources Division and its authorized representatives will only use and redisclose health information obtained through this authorization as permitted or required by applicable law. If I am not required to provide the above authorization and may refuse to sign this form, however, doing so may result in the denial or delayed processing of my accommodation request. So you don't have to do it, but if you don't do it, then it may result in us denying you your medical exemption. So if you don't waive your HIPAA rights in this way, and if you don't give a third-party entity access to your full medical background, then you may be denied your medical exemption, which in the case of this particular person is a life or death situation.
Yeah, and also, so the other important part about this that people have to consider is the fact that you don't want to give anybody, like especially a company like T-Mobile, your entire medical history. Because say, for example, you know, even when all this is over, which, I mean, to some degree, it may never be over, and she moves on to another job, I mean, according to what we're hearing, is the person's in a corporate position of some kind, even though not getting paid corporate money, but I mean, I guess it's the world we live in now. If she tries to apply for another job, that information gets leaked to Equifax and TransUnion and Experian. That information is sold on the black market. This is like, we already know for a fact that I covered this story. I broke this story, how Equifax actually leaks stuff into these companies' hands, Fortune 500 companies specifically. They then will, if you're applying for a corporate position, they will look at your medical records to see, are you going to be a liability for them? Whether it's a liability because of your health insurance, you're using it too much, Maybe you just had a child and therefore you're gonna need too many child services. You're gonna have to take off work too much. If you just went through a divorce, if you got bad credit and your bad credit came from medical bills, like that stuff gets leaked to the next company you're trying to work for. It even gets leaked to people you're trying to get a bank you're trying to get a mortgage from. That's why the HIPAA rights are so important to protect. And this person is basically what they're doing is they're building up asking to build up a case file on their employee, so that even if they don't get fired or if they don't, if they survive the situation, you'll be able to use it against them later.
Yeah.
Maybe to prevent a promotion. This is like exactly. This is that's a sociopathy. It's sociopathic. I don't know what else to call it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And again, I'm just very intrigued as to why T-Mobile has this third-party company just getting all this information, specifically when we're talking about data mining and us being treated as just the data information access about when we're talking about vaccine passports and turning into digital ID wallets, because in that digital ID wallet in the near future you're going to have your entire health record there, and it's going to be contained by a third-party company. So this just seems more of or less as to what we're going towards, and just a precipitation of it, which is scary to me, right? Mm-hmm. Another thing that I wanted to note were that these people that I talked to and that I interviewed were from all sides of the political spectrum, much like the freedom trucker protesters, who have been actually diverse, but of course you're not going to hear about it in the media. I mean, this person that I interviewed with the cancer treatment was an independent, apolitical, doesn't really choose either side. One of the ladies I interviewed, who was actually a fully vaccinated but anti-mandate, and was still speaking to me, saying that she didn't think this was fair, that the unvaccinated were treated like this, or that people were forced, even though she was vaccinated. Those people exist. And she was from Texas, and she was a little bit more, it seemed, she didn't specify from our conversations, more conservative leaning. Then I talked to somebody that was more of a libertarian mindset, a free economy and all that kind of thing. And then I talked to an ex-Bernie supporter who was one of the people that first leaked this story to me, and who had voted for Bernie in the primary, and then Howie Hawkins recently in the general, and who said that they will never vote Democrat again because of what they saw, the rigging of the primaries to Bernie, and are an independent, and they're being called a Trumper for being anti-mandate, for not wanting to comply. And so it's just crazy, the variety of people, men and women, and people who made more money than others. I asked people their salary. I've had to edit a little bit because these people are so afraid of losing their job, and the company is actually going after people, finding out who leaked what, and going through processes of elimination. There was a basic article written not long ago, and I think a journalist called T-Mobile to verify if the documents that they were sent were real or not. Mm-hmm. And T-Mobile denied that the documents were theirs, even though they were. And they found out who talked to the journalist through a process of elimination, and they fired that person. And so it's one of the people was already talking to me, and I was like, I'm so sorry that this happened, and because I hadn't even put anything out. But that's because the journalist called T-Mobile and asked them if these documents were real. Those documents are real. You can tell they have the signature of T-Mobile. Yeah. I have the name of the CEO, Mike Katz, in there. He's the CEO of the business sector, of the corporate sector. And these emails are verifiably real, because I even got pictures of literal mail that was sent to them. So it's just crazy how, and the thing is to protect sources, because I'm already being accused of lying, of saying that this is all fake.
First of all, who the hell got time to lie about T-Mobile? Right? Who the hell not lying, but like, you think that people just walking around searching for T-Mobile leaks? Like, no. If anybody cares about anything T-Mobile is doing outside the people who are constantly getting screwed by T-Mobile and not getting signal everywhere they go, like, somebody sought you out because it had become that big of an issue. First of all, like, but that's what they always do, right? They said we were lying about Bernie getting cheated. They said we were lying about the DNC. They said we were lying about whatever. Like, they always claim that we're lying, and they always say, you get probably attacked more now than I do. Like, which, I mean, I told people my grandfather died and how he died about after taking the Moderna vaccine. People were like, you're lying. I'm like, the fuck? I like took 2 months off. Why would I be lying about something like that? You think people, why would, that's such a, hey man, somebody's lying about literally having the choice, 3 choices to choose how they want to die. Why would somebody lie about that, bro? Like, that's crazy. It also just reveals just how sadistic some of these people are in the way that they think.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what they would be willing to lie about in order to seem like they are morally righteous, like just to get fucking attention. Like, that's how a lot of these people think, honestly. So thank you so much. Yeah. People can go to her, go to Fear. I'll put the Substack also in the chat. I'm gonna put it in the description, but you can go to Fiorella's Twitter, and I encourage you to do so, to read the entirety of the story. And if there's anybody else who works for T-Mobile that wants to reach out to Fiorella, where can they find you at, Fee?
You can find me on Twitter, Fiorella_IM, and you can also email the convocouch@gmail.com. We are going to cover this whole thing a little bit more intricately on Wednesday. And I'm going to keep following up and see what happens. I really hope these people don't lose their jobs. But at the same time, what this company is doing is criminal, and more people need to know about it, and more people need to be talking about it, because it's these are working people. These are everyday people that have jobs and have families that rely on this income. And these vaccine mandates are, in essence, going to destroy or potentially kill some of these people, because it is that dire of a situation. And again, the Supreme Court did make it illegal for the Biden administration through OSHA to force for the federal government to force companies to put vaccine mandates, but private companies can do it on their own. That's perfectly legal. That's what people need to understand. A private company can still do it. And also state governments like California and New York that are attempting to make this a state thing. California,
actually, New York just lifted their mandates. New York, except for New York City,
but they're trying to introduce legislation to make it a statewide thing. In California as well, their state assembly member Buffy Wicks, who worked on Obama's campaign in 2008, she introduced legislation along with a few other Democrats to make it a statewide vaccine mandate. So that's what's happening too in that route. They're taking that route, private business or state by state measure or municipal measure, etc. So be on the lookout for that, because I don't think it's over. I think they're going to try those routes as well. So yeah,
that's scary stuff. So go follow Fiorella, check out her Substack, people. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Make sure you like this video, make sure you share, don't forget to subscribe as well. Consider becoming a premium subscriber to get all of our premium content on Rokfin if you are there. But always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.